Good evening to another Q&A tonight. Joining me is one of my heroes, Steve Davis, is going to be joining us for a Q&A again. Wouldn't be able to do these without all you guys' questions coming in. So many for Steve tonight. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your input. Again, apologies if anyone's question doesn't get asked. There's just too many. Looking forward to getting Steve on. He's not here yet, I don't think. But yeah, should be fun. How's everyone? Hope everyone's coping well. This is my first glass of wine for 7 days. I decided to have 7 days off because I thought it was giving it a little bit too much. So drink responsibly, but it's nice to be having a glass of wine. I'm sure Steve will probably have a beer, I would imagine. Some sort of beer, maybe. Just waiting on Steve connecting. Did everyone watch his 1985 yesterday? Well, shall we remind him about that when he comes on? Matte Black. If only I'd potted that black. Still not there. Is he there? Is he there? He's not there. He's getting old. Technology. He might be struggling. Come on, Steve. Anyone? Any questions before Steve joins? Charles, let's get my glasses. Charles Kelly 6637, hi. Alia Fruzan, hello. Well, he said he would join at 8 o'clock, so I'll be here in a minute. Hopefully it'll be a interesting chat. I think we've got him. We're just waiting for him. He's here. I've clicked the button, I've invited him on, and it just says waiting for Steve Snooker 147. So where is he? Come on, Steve. There's 608 people waiting for you. Oh dear, where's he gone? well, all the Q&As I've done, this is the first time this has happened. And it would have to be Steve, wouldn't it? Joe Savoria. Hello, mate. Hello. Christian Wang, sir, you're my hero. Thanks very much. He's there. Well done. Well done. What happened?
I think I had to enable camera access. I disabled it, so yeah, never mind.
My technical knowledge is better than yours.
Well, maybe so. Well, I see you cooking. You're cooking, you know, the circle. You got the circle of death. I've just got sad light coming in. Look at my lighting's terrible compared to yours.
Professional. Are you drinking?
Good cooking, great cooking. I'm on the aisle.
Beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I told everyone you'd be on the beer.
Magic Rock.
How's life been?
It's been okay. It's a bit like being retired as a snooker player and not having anything to do. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you cope with boredom?
Well, listen, when you're as boring as I am, it's easy. I mean, like, this is exciting for me. I'm surrounded by all my records. It's just like a long holiday, isn't it? It's terrible, I know. My lighting's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you must. I mean, well, I just miss having something to do. I don't know when I was talking to Lauren today. I said, when do you think I'll get on a plane to go somewhere and do something?
I don't even want to go on another plane. There's a lot of people I don't want to go on a train or a plane, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, nobody really knows the outcome, but I don't want to be in a trapped environment, you know. I was thinking today, like, when it all sort of unloads again, what about swimming pools? Swimming pools are finished, aren't they?
I can't swim, so it doesn't affect me.
Yeah, you can't swim. Yeah, right. I remember getting you safely to shore once in Hong Kong.
Yeah, good story. You should tell it. It was a good story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but yeah, I'm not a swimmer either. But I mean, like, anybody that likes swimming, I mean, do you want to go in the water?
Can it survive in water?
I haven't got a clue.
No one said that one. Can it survive in water?
That's why I'm drinking alcohol. I'm not drinking that water stuff.
And you're
apart from
you're eating meat as well since this has happened. Oh, sorry. No, big exclusive.
Yeah, I've just relented, and yeah. I was down to only eating fish, but I've gone backwards now.
Because you've been doing a bit of cooking, haven't you? Barbecuing and stuff.
Yeah, but it just seemed easier to.
You didn't send any pictures. I did ask for pictures, but you didn't send any.
When the sausages and burgers were sort of going, I just went, well, just one mouthful. It tasted really nice. I mean, like, I don't feel happy with myself, you know, but I can stop again afterwards.
And you're on Series 4 of Curb.
Series 4 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, I thought Series 3 was a bit weak.
What Series 3? Which one is 3 again?
It comes after 2. It's before 4.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
One, yeah.
3 is 3's the one. What's the one where he's rehearsing for the producers? What's that one?
4. That's 4.
That's 4, is it?
Well, at the end of 3, Ben Stiller's involved and gets his eye out, and I think then 4 starts. But 4 seems so far like it's got good storylines. Yeah. But I mean, Chernobyl was great. If you've not seen Chernobyl,
I've watched that. I watched that in the plane the last time I went to China. It's very dark, very heavy, but it's very good.
And we watched 12 Monkeys, the film.
No.
12 Monkeys. Good film.
Oh, that's an old film. That's a very old film.
Sci-fi film with sci-fi film, but written by Terry Gilliam.
Okay, I'm watching Killing Eve, which is very good, and I'm going back through Entourage again, which is amazing. I don't know whether that's your scene or not, but it's very, very easy to watch. Very, very good. Have you been watching the snooker?
A little bit, yeah.
Were you glued yesterday, or you should have been watching me cooking at 2 o'clock, not watching that?
Bruce Willis. I didn't watch myself getting slaughtered. I saw some things on Twitter, people saying, "Why did you refuse this ball?" Somebody else went, "Yeah, you played some really bad shots in the last 3 frames." And so, it was so long ago to even remember, but I didn't want to watch it because I just didn't
tell you what,
Dennis's face again.
on that subject, Neil Robertson has asked you a question. He sent it to me. Yep. And he says, when you were playing that cut black at 17-17, did you originally get down on the right line of the shot, then change your mind on the potting angle?
No,
He's gone in very deep.
No, my memories of it were just cut it in, and I heard Neil Fold saying it's a natural in-off in the yellow pocket. I've got to be honest, there's room for manoeuvre when it comes to potting a ball into a pocket, as I showed by missing it by so far. But I couldn't play it slower to avoid. I just had to go for it and cut it quite thin. I had no plan other than to try and stop myself shaking, I think, But if you look at that frame and you look at the whole match, I mean, it was a game that was exciting but littered with mistakes. So we were all, our nerve endings have been shot, so anything could happen.
I mean, Dennis was going for trebles in the last frame.
Well, I mean, as I said before, it wasn't a century break made in the final. It was bitty snooker between two people that sort of got under pressure on the last day and played some. Yeah, it was exciting, but sometimes sport can be. It doesn't have to be the best to be exciting. Sometimes mistake-ridden sport can sometimes be more, more entertaining in some way. What about that? If I do pot the black and I go off in the yellow pocket, that's an even worse. That's a worse way to win.
Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible.
What now? What happens? I mean, the whole of the world might have changed. That nothing would have been the same. Nothing would have been the same. We could have got butterfly moment. Butterfly.
If you're Dennis, do you want to be world champion like that? I mean, well, I suppose you do. I suppose.
I'd have taken it. I do apologise. I do apologise to all the people in the chat room, and not looking at your shit, Snoop. Now, looking at the chatting as it's going through. So hopefully you've got questions already answered. But there's some good questions coming through already. Yeah.
Look at this. You're very popular. You're very popular, and I've got them all written down.
It's nice to see you've trimmed your beard for this.
Well, I know it was getting a bit embarrassing actually. I thought when me and Matt Selt had a bet on, he was growing his hair. And I was growing my beard. Now he's bald. He's bald anyway. Well, he shaved his head. So I mean, it was looking horrendous. So he bailed out first, but I kept on going. But it was I seen myself. I done Ronnie last week. I seen myself, and it was just horrific.
You got it caught in your spatula yesterday.
Yeah, it was starting to drip when I was getting down. It was starting to drip in the food. So it wasn't good. It wasn't hygienic. So are you ready for these then?
Yeah, go for it.
So we've got a real mixture. I sent you one, what was it? Nugget likes chicken nuggets or something. That was, but I suppose you don't eat chicken nuggets, do you? I can't imagine you eating chicken nuggets.
Well, I was quite
maybe at Glastonbury, do you? You've had a heavy night.
I was quite pleased when I stopped eating meat that I was never going to eat chicken again. So I'm drawing the line at chicken.
Someone's asked for the swimming story in Hong Kong, so I'll tell it. We were in an invitation tournament in Hong Kong, in what would it be, the late 80s? Would it be?
Yeah,
something like that. And a friend of Jimmy White's had a boat, and after the final, which we'd gone out drinking and everything, and he decided to take us out to this island on this boat, a beautiful big yacht, wasn't it?
Big boat.
And I was through hangover and being seasick. I was just throwing up all over the place. So we anchored at near this island. So the only way for me to feel better was to get to the island and fall asleep. I couldn't swim. So Barry Hearn and Steve's driver, minder, whatever, Robbo at the time, they decided to swim me to shore. So I was on both of their shoulders. They swam me to shore, which is brilliant. Which I thought was pretty brave because there could have been all sorts in that water.
Yeah, exactly. And then Jimmy told the guy he wanted to use a speedboat.
Yeah, and he took you on it.
Took me for a drive in a speedboat. I've never been so frightened in my life. The cornering was amazing. I don't think at the time Jimmy drove, so his speedboat driving wasn't any better. And I said, look, I don't want to be in this, but I'm scared. He scared the life out of me, let alone on the snooker table. He scared the life out of me in a speedboat off of island of Hong Kong. So I said, drop me off at the shore where you were. But he got the propeller stuck in the sand.
He sunk it.
And then it went sideways. The boat went sideways. The waves started coming in, and the water went in the speedboat and sunk it. And then the rest of the day was spent trying to get the speedboat up and out of the water. So we had to lift the anchor up. The boat had to go out to sea while we dragged the speedboat back out. And the guy who owned the boat was bailing out the speedboat from inside the speedboat while we were dragging it out, so it got up in the air. And we had to then get you back to shore, back to the boat.
Meanwhile, I'd fallen asleep on the beach and I got sunburn on one side of my face.
That's what I feel like at the moment.
Anyway, let's kick off with these. So this is from these names. I can never pronounce these names. So this is from Dai Fai or something. Was there a moment when you knew your period of domination was over? You don't have to mention any names, but just it's a general thing.
I think it took me a little time to accept that I was struggling to play you, because it was a question somebody asked recently about, when I lost to Dennis Taylor in the final, do I think I lost it or did Dennis win it? But you always blame yourself. You never say the other guy's great. You always blame yourself. So therefore, when you came along, you obviously played fantastic snooker, and at some stage your standard jumped up another level, if not more than one. And that's how sort of it does seem like in sport things happen. It seemed like it's overnight your standard got better. So initially, it wasn't that I thought you were great. I thought I was doing something wrong. So the first phase of, say, your domination of the 90s was me blaming myself for bad technique. Why is my cue not going through straight? All the problems I'm sure you would know.
Yeah, absolutely.
To creep into your game. So it took, the denial is always there as well. That's why I thought it was good when Ronnie came along, how you accepted Ronnie's was going to be a great player, whereas I didn't accept you were going to be a great player to start with. And it took me most of the 90s to, I would say, finally come to terms with the fact I was no longer the total cutting edge. And I was fighting the losing battle, but obviously still had good moments as well. But obviously the floodgates opened as well. It wasn't just you. The standard was getting better as well. So I was getting beaten by more and more players who were coming through. So it's a slow dawning, and that erodes your confidence over time. So it's not one moment. I think most of the 90s was me slowly coming to terms with the fact that the standard had caught up with me and had overtaken to some degree. Obviously, I was still one of the best players, but but still not dominant, not as dominant as I was pleased to win matches instead of expecting to win them.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah, I empathise with it completely. Harvey _Andrews 06. What do you miss most about playing snooker?
I think the fact that you just immersed in the moment. There's something wonderful about playing the game. You don't think about anything else. It's something that becomes part of your psyche. And the happiest times of my life, I'm sure, have been playing snooker, where you just immersed in the match or immersed just in practice.
Yeah, not the practice side of it, the actual the big game, the big occasion.
Yeah, well, both actually. Even the playing as well. It's sort of a freedom that sort of the fact of when you're doing it, it's a wonderful thing to do because it's all immersive. So I'd say that's the bit I miss most of all. It's not necessarily the competition, but it's the actual process of doing it. A bit like an artist would be painting a picture. They don't necessarily. It's not the picture afterwards. It's when they're doing it, or a musician is making the music. It's not the record when that comes out. It's finished. So whether it was matches or practice, the actual process I thought was wonderful, and your brain's just totally 100% immersed in it. So you have nothing else to think about. So you didn't have to worry about the past or the present or the future. Just the table.
Yeah, I mean, when we were out at, say, the Crucible, we were out on the floor. We're going to do something live for TV before the final. The atmosphere. I mean, there must be a little bit of you as well, like me. You'd love to have your cue out, wouldn't you?
Funnily enough, you more than me. I've sort of accepted. I don't know. I've just sort of went, oh no, that's another part of my life. I'm not really that worried anymore.
Really?
Yeah. So I think maybe probably there's a little bit more left in the tank for you that you never explored.
Yeah,
but I retired a lot later, well past my sell-by date, as Marcus would say. Whereas you retired and you were still a force, but you decided to jack it in earlier.
Yeah.
But I think I'd had enough. I think I'd had enough of playing, and I didn't want any more competition. So I don't miss that. It's nice to be involved in the Crucible, and obviously the final will be tonight. It's exciting, but I don't necessarily miss it. I think I had enough of it.
Yeah. Neldo_147. What's been your favourite moment in the sport outside your own career?
There is nothing else. No. What?
When I read the question, I know
the question?
Because when you're an individual sportsman, it's all about you. I mean,
honestly, it's all about you. I mean, I'm trying to be as honest as possible here. There's no point. There's no need anymore. You know, I know it's nice to say you want to entertain.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I mean, like, full credit to anybody who says they go out to entertain, but you go out to try and win, and it's all about you winning. And if you win, you're the happiest bunny out there. If you lose, you want to kill everybody. You know, whether you've entertained or not is beyond. So, what's the greatest moment other than?
I suppose what's the best match you've seen since you worked for?
Well, so many. Do you know what I think? I think probably, without trying to sort of pander to the masses a bit, I think you know, I was involved as you were in the process of the game getting better and better, and I think to see players like Ronnie O'Sullivan and Judd Trump play the game. When at one stage I thought I was the best thing in the game and nobody was ever going to be better than me, right? To see those players and what they do on the table and the beauty with what they do. Yeah. I think, you know, I can appreciate that now. Whereas if I was competing against them, I'd be hating it. But now I look at it and I'm gasping with astonishment at some of the shots the modern day players play. And, you know, and Ronnie, it's incredible. Just amazing. And Judd Trump, you know, just astonishing with some of the shots he plays. But not just those two. A lot of the top players now are just.
Richard, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot. Both of them at their best, who wins in a world final?
I think Ronnie's best always wins.
Yeah, I think I would have to. I mean, Judd is obviously he's gotten so strong mentally, and his match play has improved so much. But it's just you just have to sort of favour Ronnie slightly if they're both at their best. Yeah,
but then, you know, at their best, you know, for a while I thought possibly the only player who was capable of beating Ronnie was John Higgins, because I think he had the game to beat Ronnie. But then you've got the likes of Mark Selby, Neil Robertson, that also come into the equation. There, it's a lot greyer an area now. But Ronnie at his best, I don't know. It's tough to oppose him if you're thinking about at their best. Yeah. But then you at your best, you know, great as well. But it's really tough to judge eras. Yeah.
I also think it's very difficult in snooker, because if one player's playing well, the other guy's in his seat. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's not as if you can reply straight away to like the other guy and say, well, okay, you've done that, I'll do that, because you can be in your seat for like 4 or 5 frames.
I mean, like, I didn't have a great strike rate from behind. I mean, like you'd grab for the rag and it'd be in your mouth. No, but you came back against Jimmy White, which was astonishing. I don't necessarily think I could have done that in the final. I don't know, but I see Ronnie O'Sullivan. He seems to not have a care in the world in his chair, even if he's getting beat. He can come. He seems like he's got the same game behind and in front. But there again, a lot more of the top players are capable of doing that.
Yeah. Jude Murray.
Yeah, we've all got the glasses to read the words on the screen.
You what?
I can take them off, but I can't see anything. It's all a blur.
Jude Murray 14. I don't think it's the Judy Murray to do with, but who or what inspired you to start playing snooker?
Well, I was aware of it at an earlier age than most kids because of my father. It was his hobby, and so therefore any television snooker, it was on that channel. There wasn't a lot of channels.
Did you start a small table like me or not? Did you start a small table or not?
Yeah, I had a small table because I got one for Christmas. Yeah, I had one for Christmas, and the table arrived at Christmas, but the balls were delayed in transit. So I had a Christmas present, a table and no balls. Perhaps that's how it. And the end result of that was that I was able to play snooker with my father at home. And as I got a bit older, I started to go to a club. And I was my father was a decent-ish player, so. Right. He was able to sneak me in where most 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds would have not been allowed into a working men's club, a social club. Yeah. And it was a lot longer down the line before I went to a proper snooker club, you know, a pay and play one. So I was a social club player to start with.
What age did you make your first century?
17. It took me 3 years, but do you know it was tough back then. Thinking about it now, you see so much snooker. Everybody can learn from the players they see on TV. There wasn't much on TV to learn from, so I sort of felt like I had to make my own way, positionally anyway. I didn't know anything about positional play. I could follow the mechanics, but positional play was another story. I had nobody to learn from.
Yeah. So what? I mean, did you do like what would be? I mean, when you were young, would you do like lineups, or what was your practice? Did you play players, or you wouldn't even know these things, would they? Who invented the lineup?
Yeah, I seem to remember doing the lineup a bit sort of later on, but I mean, I used to play a lot of billiards as well, which is, it doesn't really help your snooker, but it was something I could practice and play on my own. You can play on your own quite easily, but I was playing against club players who could barely make sort of 30 break. So, and they were considered quite good, So I had nobody sort of to work out the right positional shots. So every now and again I'd bump into a good player. So what I had to do was I had to go in search of other players. So I had to leave my club. It's not like a gunslinger, but I went to find players to play against. I went to north of the river to play against a guy called Marcus Owen, an old professional. Bumped into a lot of good players who were billiard hall players back then. Yeah. And one of the players lost heavily to a guy called Vic Harris, who wasn't actually at that club. But then I went in search of Vic Harris, which led me to Romford in Essex. And that's when I bumped into Barry Hearn. So it was Vic Harris who was the instigator of me going to find better opposition all the time. Yeah. And then from then on, I was up and running, and he sort of helped me along the way in getting pros down to playing. Yeah. But they were early days. They were different times.
I remember you went through a stage where at professional tournaments, your warm-up before a match was playing billiards. Because I remember going to the practice room and thinking, what the is he doing? he's playing billiards before he goes out. What was his logic in that? It's just get your cue arm going or something? Or?
Yeah, to get my cue arm. Billiards is quite a free-flowing game of rhythm. Right. And the shots themselves are quite a lot easier than most pots. You're playing cannons and in-offs, and they're a lot easier. So they're all basically easy shots. And also, it's more of a topspin, free-flowing cue action. And I felt it was actually sort of freeing me up from any tightness. But the games that doesn't really help your snooker because it's not a stun screw game. It's a stroke style game. But I did feel just before the match, it didn't hurt me. Okay,
I thought it was very strange. A lot of things I've taken from you, but that was one thing I was never going to go there.
Don't play. Billiards won't help you snooker.
Ed Reach is asking, going into the 1986 World Final, did you seriously think Joe had a chance to beat you?
I didn't really ever look at it that way. I was happy going into the final playing Joe, but in a way, we all knew how good Joe was, so I never took him for granted at all. And, the year before, I'd lost in the final to Dennis, who I'd never lost to before, and I'd given him quite a number of beatings. So, I would be foolish to have thought that I was going to walk in.
And Joe was obviously a rank outsider, wouldn't he, get to the final?
Yeah, but he was playing a free style of snooker. He was playing like with no care in the world, it seemed. And his cue arm was free of any tension. And that's the way he played the whole tournament. But that's the way Joe's always played, it seemed. And he got on a roll and he was playing some great stuff. So from the moment the bell rung on day one, I felt like I was playing catch up to Joe's style. And he totally outplayed me for 2 days.
I always think that almost as good an achievement, him getting to the final the following year was incredible.
Yeah, because that crucible curse that we all talk about, nobody's ever got as close as Joe Johnson.
No, I know. Tahir Vazipdar, did you have any influence on the Rat Pack film?
No, the Rat Pack was. We knew it was happening, but
I've still not seen it.
It's good. It's really good. It's relatively true. I mean, it's with a bit of poetic license, to give it a bit more drama. But in general, it's roughly how things went. I can't speak for the parts I was not involved in, but the bits that I was involved in, it sort of happened roughly like that. So I thought it was a great sort of.
I must watch it.
Great sort of judgment on a fairy tale that happened. But what was the question there? Was it? Oh no. So,
did you have any influence on it? Obviously, in making it or anything? No, or writing? No.
the producer came to, he came to sort of interview us for maybe some good stories, but we weren't allowed to see anything. We weren't allowed to meet the actors. The actors weren't allowed to meet us for fear of sort of messing up how they perceived we were. So they only saw videos and that of us so that they could act from that. And then I was as much in the dark as anybody else in what they'd done with it. So it was absolutely fantastic watching it. Bizarre to have somebody playing the part of you. That's crazy to have. But I thought the actors were brilliant in that. They did a really good job. It's worth watch it. You might enjoy it.
No, I should watch it. Luke Torbs is asking. This is for when we're commentating. Obviously, do you watch the TV or look through the box window when commentating? I know I prefer looking at the table.
You're a long way away from the table, but it's
because I'm quite worried about both. Yeah, if we have to do this World Championship in July remotely, I'm a bit worried. I'm having to commentate from a TV screen. I could do it in the house, I suppose. Yeah,
I suppose so. Well, obviously, there have been moments when players have looked at the table when they should have been looking at the TV screen, and I think there was a Patsy Fagan moment where the director said to Dennis that we've got Patsy Fagan in the crowd. He was obviously not looking at the TV screen because he was looking at the table, and he went, and there's Patsy Fagan, and it wasn't Patsy Fagan. It's the TV angles give you lots of things, but they don't give you 3D as much. So even though they have tried 3D in snooker, it seems to have bitten the dust, doesn't it? I mean, we started playing out in China, and the cameras were 3D ready because there were two lenses on each camera, I seem to remember, but it's obviously not taken off. So it's nice to see it in 3D. You get a better perspective, but the table's quite a long way away from you in the commentary box, especially like the Masters, even further away.
Hot Snooker just wants to know who your favourite player is, if you have one.
Me.
Yeah.
Me? Yeah.
Good answer.
There is no.
Who else is there?
I love all the players, and I think what is great is, I've got more in common with all the other players, whoever they are.
There was a time you loved Peter Ebdon, though, wasn't there? There was a time you used to say the time he was your favourite player. Unfortunately, he's obviously retired this week through injury. Great character.
Love watching Peter play. Love watching Mark Selby play, Ronnie O'Sullivan. I like all the different styles. And the thing about that is... Sorry,
I meant just to interrupt you. Neil Robertson. Yeah, I have asked his question, Neil. I have asked your question. Okay, go on. Sorry.
I forget what the answer was now. I think the good thing about being a player, you can identify with the other players more than you think. Whereas the fans, the fans of snooker are not players like we are. So we have, we have more in common, or snooker players more in common with another snooker player than they do with somebody who watches the game to some degree. So fans like some players and don't like others. A classic example is a lot of Ronnie O'Sullivan fans can't stand Mark Selby. Yeah. Okay. But if you're a player...
And what's even stranger, though, when you look at social media, a lot of Ronnie Sullivan fans can't stand Judd Trump, which surprises me because he's plays the type of game he plays.
But I think a player can appreciate because we know what we're going through, what other players are going through. It feels a bit like perhaps all politicians, even if they're Conservative or Labour or whatever, they've got something in common with each other that you haven't with them. So even though they're on the opposite sides, they still know what it's like. So when they leave the game, they befriend each other. So we're all mates with each other now, even though we may have had to sort of fight against each other. And we all know that we've all had battles with Jimmy. Like I saw somebody earlier saying, do you feel sorry for Jimmy not winning the World Championship? Of course not. You want to win it yourself. But we know what Jimmy was going through, and we know how great Jimmy is. So we don't view anything else other than Jimmy and what a fantastic player. But we don't judge players sometimes like the fans. So we don't judge Mark Selby any differently to Ronnie O'Sullivan. They have to go through the same turmoil, practicing. They prepare for the matches the same way, and they give of their best when they're playing, like Peter Ebdon. And the outcome is, it may look like they're different animals, but they are roughly the same beast, even though it may not seem like that.
Yeah, I think the misconception a lot of people make is they look at people like Ebdon, Selby against a Sullivan Trump and think, well, they're not naturally talented. Of course they're naturally talented. I mean, you can't get them to where they are without being born with this unbelievable talent to play snooker. Okay, they might not do it the same way, they're not as flamboyant, but they're still unbelievably naturally talented.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I don't know, if you sort of say a player who's made who can make a 50 break wherever they are on a scale of 0 to 100% talent, but when you look at the top 1 to 8 players in the world, they're in the high 90s in natural ability, and sometimes it's only the perception of the talent or how they go about it. But speed plays its part. Peter Ebdon chooses to play slower than he has done in the past because that's the way he decided to go about it. But he hasn't. It's not like he hasn't got the talent.
No.
And Mark Selby could run around the table and knock the balls in. He chooses to try and do it in a different way. And golfers would do exactly the same. Some are faster than others, but talent-wise, they're all in the very high 90s.
Kyer Toff 8. How the heck did a guy like Steve get into DJing?
Well, yeah, I never really realised it, but I perhaps we all like to play music. Everybody posts up music. You put up playlists.
Yeah, but what you listen to is not music.
It's not Nickelback.
Well, I don't like them either.
I've done a radio show for many years. I've done a radio show, local community radio stations. I've occasionally done radio shows on like BBC and London-based channels as well, and I've always enjoyed it. And so radio presenting, playing records, great fun. Play your own music, right? And everybody likes to force their music on other people. We all like to do it. We've all been guilty of it. So. And then all of a sudden, somebody starts asking you to DJ live at a small venue, and you go, "Oh, okay." And the next minute, the phone rings, and somebody says, "Do you want to do something else?" And before you know it, you're playing music to a crowd, and it's quite a buzz. And like I don't necessarily, I've been fast tracked a bit. It's luck. There's better DJs out there who can mix records and all that, but. Doing the radio show, sort of, it's quite fun. I can't really. It's a different buzz to playing snooker.
Yeah.
But things have got a bit stranger because I've sort of like been doing different types of music now, and I've actually been on stage playing music. That's another world. That's the closest thing to snooker I've.
And what is it? An album? Do you still call it an album? What is it? An album? A CD? Or what is it? You got an album out as well.
Yeah, we made an album. We've got a couple of records out, and I've sort of been on stage playing in a band. And if anybody had told me 4 years ago that was going to happen, I'd have laughed them out of the room.
I remember we came to see in York a couple of years ago after a session. You were doing a gig, and we came, and I walked in, and it was the most random music ever. But you were behind the decks, and you had a mask of my face on while you were playing music and giving it all this. It was probably the most surreal thing I'd ever seen in my career. You had my face on it. You were like.
Do you know the good thing? The good thing is, if you play snooker and have a beer, the coordination's out the window. But putting a CD on, and putting a record on, and pressing play, you can have a beer while you're doing it. It's great.
You don't do it sober, do you? I mean, you wouldn't be the same, would it?
No. It's a bit like a snooker exhibition. The idea of a snooker exhibition is the best snooker exhibitions are if you can stay like one drink behind everybody else in the room, you've got the right balance. If it's the other way around, you've got a problem.
Sermo J for real. How long has he been a musician? Well, you're a musician now. And what has gotten him to, this is the same thing, what has gotten him into, now I need to take my time here, modular synthesis specifically? Is that what you do, modular synthesis?
Oh, yeah, there.
I mean, what even is that?
It's a synthesizer without a keyboard.
Okay.
I quite like the idea. When it comes to playing snooker, the 10,000 hours of practice, you can't play unless you've done a load of practice. But with a synthesizer without a keyboard, you can actually get music out without having any dexterity.
Right.
So you don't have to have any of this. But you plug these. Where's a look? You plug all these wires in. you plug all these wires into holes and the music comes out, and it's down to then you can choose how the music comes out. So without having done 10,000 hours of practice, I can make music.
Right.
So the argument is it a musical instrument? Well, synthesizers, can make music without, you can press one key and loads of other stuff comes out. But it's led me to be able to make music without having 10,000 hours of practice.
Do you sit in lockdown? Did you sit in that room for hours playing with them knobs?
Yeah. Well, if you go on my Instagram page, I don't post a lot of them, but every now and again when I'm just messing around, I just put up
I know. I go in. I don't even know what it is. It's just like, what even is this?
Well,
anyone finding you on Instagram think, oh, good, Steve, this will be good, and then they see it, they'll just.
I know. Terrible. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're all just sadly disappointed. They're expecting snooker tips like yours. But I've got to say, every credit to coming out with the Willie Thornism there. Every credit, and good luck to Willie. Hopefully he's all right. Willie, he's struggling a bit at the moment, but hopefully he's in good hands. But one of his catchphrases was always every credit. But your tips, fantastic. What you've done on Instagram, really enjoy them.
Oh, really? Thanks very much.
I just don't know how many times you take. The takes must be horrendous. What's the record so far?
I'm quite upset you've asked that, actually, but no, there was a couple of shots where I think it's because it's not so much. A lot of the time, sometimes it's a shot, sometimes it's the text speaking. So sometimes you'll get the shot and then you'll explain it and that'll go wrong. So I've gone probably 4 or 5, I think.
Well, 4 or 5, as I would expect from a 7 times world champion. But the thing about it is, I know for a while what you're going through, because we do loads of stuff on TV to camera, and you've got the words going around in your brain, right? But then when you've got to demo something at the end, right, you get to the part where the words are great, but then you've got to play the shot, so you put extra pressure on yourself to get this. I've got to get this right now, and then you mess that up, and you go back and you mess the words up again. And you're back to square one. You're up the ladder, down the snake. So, yeah, I've enjoyed them. Yeah, I don't think I could do better.
You're still to do one, by the way. You said you would do one.
Yeah, my table's got a load of records on it at the moment, though.
Ryan Fenrich, 97. Who was your biggest rival before your first World Championship win? Did you have any rivals before?
Well, I think it was 2 years professional by the
Joe
time.
Davis, John Pillman.
Come on. Well, Terry Griffiths turned professional roughly the same time as me.
Right.
And Terry was one, the best amateur around at the time. And I played in lots of matches against him as an amateur as well. And so Terry was always there, Right. And so when I turned professional, Terry Griffiths was one of the top players, and you had to beat him. He was never going to be beaten. You actually had to beat him. You had to dominate him on the table, because otherwise he could beat you. So I'd say probably Terry at one stage was my greatest rival. And Terry, I think, says that, if I hadn't been around at the same time, he'd have won a lot more. And I truly think he would have done. But obviously, turned professional, Alex Higgins, for most of the 80s, was the antithesis of me. So we were the two that had the sort of that rivalry. As a kid, Tony Mio. Tony was up there at one stage, one of the top players in the game. And Jimmy White was starting to. Yeah.
I'm trying to go through, because we're never going to have time for all these. I'm trying to get through
I'll have a beer while you're doing it.
Yeah. Sean Cooling wants to know who your favourite DJ is.
Me?
Yeah. Again, you.
I'm my favourite person. Favourite DJ? Well, there's so many great DJs over the years. Obviously, the one that sort of springs to mind.
Dave Lee Travis
is John Peel. Dave Lee Travis is a good guy. John Peel has a very special moment.
He was quite indie, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was one of a kind, and so many other DJs that have come along that have championed the cause of artists that didn't get too much exposure, but John Peel was the first one. Right. So if you went back to that period of time in the 60s and the 70s, he was a guy, and then there's lots of great DJs on Six Music that play great stuff as well. There's a whole myriad, but I think they'd all defer to the master that was John Peel.
Favourite Belgian beer, asks Barter92.
Talk snooker. Somebody said talk snooker. Oh,
there's loads of snooker questions, but I just thought I'd...
What was the question? Sorry.
Favourite Belgian beer?
Favourite Belgian beer? St Bernardus. So I think it's 12%.
I never heard of that.
12%, I think.
12% beer?
Beautiful. Yes, fantastic.
How many of them can you have?
As many as you like. I don't know if you can set up.
All right, snooker question. _ Peter Hudson _ Is there anything you've learned in snooker now that you wish you knew in your prime?
Yeah, and I still think I don't know exactly is how to play position. Because I came from an era where the game wasn't so much open the pack, win the frame. The game wasn't that way inclined. Arguably, the cloths didn't open the balls up as much.
Right.
But also, I think positional play was nowhere near as advanced as it is now. But the mentality of the players back in my era and the ones before was not really to try and win the frame in one visit like it is now. So positional play over the years has improved and has been refined. And I feel that I lost ground in the 80s by not starting to realise that I had to be a better positional player to do what you did when you came along with that mentality. So I think my positional play, and what I'm talking about is positional play, is not where to put the ball. I could put the ball wherever.
Yeah.
But it was which route to take, the sat-nav part of it. And I felt that in the end, a lot of my failings at the game were down to positional play. And if I'd have spent more time playing position in practice than worrying about my technique, I may have had better longevity in the 90s. Even though I still did a good job, I could have been a better positional player.
Right. Ronnie's on there. He says you're still better than most. Ben Sizer, what did you think of me, potentially, when you first saw me?
Well, apart from looking like a character from Laurel and Hardy. Oops, sorry. Well, you can see that when you see raw talent, you know somebody's good. You know, when I first saw Ronnie play, you know, the first time as a kid I saw him play, just amazing what he could do. But
you thought my action was too long, didn't you, in the beginning?
No, I can't really remember that far back. I just think it's impossible to judge how good a player is going to be when you see them match play. So, you come on the scene, you're a young up-and-coming player, you're obviously doing well. I see you from afar, I see you every now and again in an exhibition. I go, oh, he's good. But I don't know if you're going to be any good until you start playing match play.
Yeah.
So
but when did them 2 6-night tours in Scotland? I mean, you just took me apart. It was horrific.
Well, that was but at the time, that was my domain, playing exhibitions, and you were not used to them. So naturally, you were not going to do as well as you could have done.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like my office. So that was good grounding for you to do that, and great fun. I mean, I did the similar thing playing lots of the top pros when they came down to Romford to sort of like cut my eye teeth a bit. So great to be put in that, and that would have given you lots of experience, not just playing me, but also playing in a big environment.
Yeah,
it just ups your game in that department. But I don't remember thinking anything good or bad about you, other than the fact I thought, well, you could be a danger in the future. But there again, I'm having a great time, so I'll deal with that if it ever happens.
Yeah,
because there are other great players around as well.
Shane Core 147. What are your memories of Goffs having won it 8 times? I didn't realise you won it 8 times.
One of my proudest achievements is winning the Irish Benson Masters, as it was then. 8 times in Goff.
8 times. Wow.
Yeah, I felt like that was my office. I felt at times like I was nearly unbeatable there.
Was part of that because it was right before the World Championship, or were you sort of tuning in for Sheffield, or was it just you just loved the venue? Or
I don't know. I think I like the venue. A one-table setup, one match at a time. You were centre of attention. I was playing some pretty dominant snooker then, so I had the best of it, I suppose. I did lose matches there, but I always felt, funnily enough, that the Irish crowd gave me a better reception than the British crowd.
Really? Because the Masters in Wembley, you didn't have that. I mean, obviously you won it, 3 times, 4 times?
Yeah, quite boisterous sometimes. The London crowd, and even though I was sort of London-ish, I was born in South East London, even though I sort of came from Essex. the London crowd was a different type of crowd. But I always felt that the Irish crowd in Goffs in Southern Ireland they gave you the respect that you gave them, and so I was happy in the room. And also, you know, I was playing decent stuff as well, and there was such a great atmosphere in that room. But that place was also the room where 2 other incidents happened as a snooker player that I choose to forget.
Three misses.
The 3 misses and out against Ken Doherty at 4-all to lose the match 5-4. That was the first person to ever lose a frame, let alone a match, with the 3 misses rule. It was awful. And the other thing was clearing up to the black to be 8 behind against Mike Hallett, miscounting, and that was in a full room at Goff.
Really? Oh my God!
And I cleared up the colours. I potted the pink, and I was getting down to the black to pot it. And I think John Street was the referee. He sort of coughed and went, Steve. And I looked at the scoreboard, and I was like, oh my God, what a mug. What a mug. So I walked out and came back in with a calculator to try and lighten the situation. Yeah, but Goff's great venue. And that was where Dennis Taylor and Alex Higgins had their famous their meeting.
It's my second favourite venue. Listen, we've got about 10 minutes left. I've been doing with some of the players. I've been going through Q Tracker today to try and get these 5 questions, see what your knowledge is of your career. Ronnie was unbelievable. He got scores and everything. Ken not so good, but this I don't know.
I'll be zero. Go for it.
I got 5, but it's these are Q Tracker's facts. So if they're wrong, they're wrong. It's his fault. So number 1, 1978, Ponton's Spring Open. Who did you beat in the final?
Tony Mio.
Well done. Highest break you had in the match?
56.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
it's 56.
Last frame.
Wow, very impressive.
Very
impressive.
Played all pinks, all around the pink spot, under pressure to beat Tony.
Excellent. In the 1981 World Championship, who did you beat in the first round? Your first World Championship.
I feel like it might have been Patsy Fagan.
Wrong. Jimmy White.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Now, one thing confused me when I was looking through it, because it went last 16, then it went last 24. So what was that about? So not as many players at the Crucible or something?
So they played 6... wow. Is it 16?
It went from last 16 to last 24, which is a bit weird. But anyway, there's no matches before that. But yeah, so Jimmy White, you beat in the first round, 10-8.
Wow.
So one. Number 3, how many frames did you lose in total in the 1989 World Championship that you won? 5 rounds.
I only lost 3 in the final.
Beat me in the semi-final.
Did I beat you? Did I slaughter you?
Ish.
Okay.
If you get within 2, I'll be impressed.
18.
23.
Oh,
23. I took 10 of you. I took the most, so I'm happy with that.
Well played.
How many centuries did you make as a pro? What's your total figure?
350-ish.
355.
5, yeah.
355. Well done. Last one.
No more.
Who was the last player that you beat in the World Championship 2015?
John Higgins. No.
2015. I tell you, I don't know what Q Tracker. 2016, you lost to Fergal O'Brien. I don't know if you won a match before that. So I've gone back to 2015.
Jamie Cope.
Well done. Yeah.
I was thinking of the Crucible. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Listen, Steve, thanks very much for doing this. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it. I mean, there were so many more questions, but I just can't get through them all. There's so many, but yeah, very, very, very enjoyed it.
Pleasure.
Enjoyed it a lot. It was good fun. And stay safe. And I'll maybe see you in July.
Yeah.
End of July, possibly.
Yeah.
Are you hoping? Are you hoping or not? You just want to stay in lockdown?
I'm working on the second album.
The difficult second album. I'll see you later. See you soon.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Steve.
Oops.
Great chat with Steve there. And once again, thanks for the questions. As I said, there's so many. I just couldn't get through them all. Next Monday, well, maybe be my old friend Mark Williams. So look forward to that if that comes off. But yeah, thanks for watching again. Stay safe, everybody.